Kevin, how quickly, once you got your account funded, how quickly did you start to see, passive income being generated?
Well, like the first week, there was definitely, money being generated. And um, I think my first month, everything I've invested in three different things. And, I think my income was like 6% that first month, which is kind of where y'all had talked about, sort of. So I felt good about that.
Kevin, just from the top, just can you tell me a little bit about yourself? What's your professional background?
So I'm an architect. I design custom homes, and I have my own business, which will this next May will be 37 years that I've had my business, and love what I do. And we have the luxury of doing a lot of high-end custom homes all over the Houston area, and so it's very rewarding.
Wow, it's very, very rewarding. I mean, almost spanning 4 decades. Did you ever think that you would be an architect for almost 40 years? Was that like a part of
No, I never thought that. And it seems like the time's gone by so fast, though, just blows me away. It's like, oh my God, I cannot believe that, I've been in business that long for doing the same thing.
Yeah. And so, I mean, on your end, what was the motivation? What was the main reason you were looking for another stream of income?
Because I'm 62 and I feel like I don't really I got to retire in 5 years or something because I love what I do. And when you're not working for somebody else, I mean, it makes it even that much better. But I feel like my retirement, I'm just not where I need to be for my age. And so that was my motivation. I just been looking for the right fit for something to help me grow, a bigger sum of money quickly that when I do get ready to retire or slow down or whatever, that the funds are there.
Yeah. What would you have, and this is kind of just me being curious, 25, 30 years ago, if you knew then what you know now, what maybe would you have done differently financially?
Well, I definitely would have been investing money differently and putting away more money.
And so for you then, the last 16 years have been you rebuilding yourself, reestablishing yourself financially and maybe relationally as well. So, I mean, what did you maybe try along those 16 years in order to like, obviously have your primary business, get back ramped up, but then, any other streams of income that you try to tack on at the same time?
So I worked with a financial advisor for many years, and they were investing money in the stock market and taking a percentage of it, and then they kind of the guy I was working with just decided he was going to just take on a smaller group of people. He wanted people that had closer to $1 million invested, which I wasn't there, and so he passed me on to somebody else that I didn't feel like had very much experience. And so then I decided to just go with a self-directed IRA, and I invested in a short-term rental property, which I have that's in Florida, Panama City Beach, and I've had it for a couple of years, and it didn't do very good the first year, but it's doing much better this year.
Hmm.
But there's so much competition that's kind of a challenge, especially in that town. I mean, I think I can make it work, but if I knew now what I knew then when I bought it, I'd have probably bought it somewhere else just because of the competition. But I like doing that. I like owning that, and I like this summer. I mean, I haven't had any day that it hasn't been booked,
Hmm.
and so that's something I've done that I've changed over just the last, I guess it's been about almost 3 years ago now that I took my investments out of the stock market pretty much and invested in real estate. And I really would like to pick up another one or two short-term rental properties, but I would put them in a totally different market.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. And so rental property has been something that has helped you diversify. And well, I mean, just curious as well, what made you basically liquidate your stocks? And like just that question, right? What made you say, you know what, this paper money, right? This money I can't necessarily see in the stock market. What made you decide to like kind of move off of that and move in a different direction?
So I felt like the stock market, the investments that I was being proposed were just, I think there was a lot of stuff behind it that wasn't necessarily in my favor. Like a lot of these stock people, they push certain things on you because they're getting, a commission on it, or they're getting a vacation out of it or something that motivates them to sell you on that. And I it just didn't feel like I was doing as good as the stock market was at sometimes with the investments I had.
Um,
And then I've always, because I know real estate pretty well, I feel like I've always done better at real estate. I've bought and sold many homes of my own, and I've always made money on those homes.
yeah.
And so I just felt like that was something that I was more confident that that's going to, appreciate value. And the short-term rental thing, I mean, I jumped into it not knowing anything.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much about that whole industry now that it's, I can't believe. But I'm connected with a lot of people that are making some real serious money in that, and I'm not going to give up my business to do that. But I do like the idea of adding a few more properties, just because I think that could be a good investment for the long run.
Of course, of course. Yeah, diversification is important. And, that's something that, again, I like to be able to hear other ways that our clients have their capital allocated. And so how, you got this rental property 3 years ago. It's kind of had its ups and downs. It definitely summertime is very, very active for you. That's excellent. How did you actually come across us? How did you hear about us? Was there an ad? Was there a video that really stuck out to you?
It was on Facebook, and I mean, I did what research I could about y'all, and I kept seeing you on Facebook all the time, over and over, and I'll tell you, I mean, I was really nervous because everybody talks. There's so many scams out there. It's really hard to, especially when you're doing something like that on the internet, or Facebook or whatever.
Sure. So you were very nervous to join ATN because of scams. You've seen kind of or heard stories. Have you ever like experienced something to where you saw an ad or saw something and you decided to go into it and it actually turned out to not be what you thought?
Not with investments or anything, but one of my hobbies is I have some exotic plants that are from different parts of the world that are just not as they're just unique, and they some of them can be a little costly. And I got scammed on Facebook. I bought several on Facebook from different people that import them into the United States and then resell them.
Mhm.
I got scammed for $1,000 on that. Really made me. I thought I was doing everything right, and this person was legit. And as hard as I tried to make sure, it backfired on me, and I lost $1,000, and there was no plants that were going to be sent to my house. So that's the most recent thing that but I've not tried other stuff so much with financial stuff, and I've never had an account outside of the United States that I was funding, so all of that was just new to me, and
Yeah.
just made me second guess everything.
So what ultimately made like, right? So you saw the ads and you were like, wow, I see this guy all the time. Starting to get out of here, right? And then you decided to, see what it
Yep.
that we were talking about, see if it could be a good fit by booking a call. You have that call and you're thinking about the process and thinking of how this could potentially work, still skeptical, still nervous. What actually made you decide to join and move past that skepticism?
I mean, this whole thing, when you first hear about it, it really sounds too good to be true. Like, how could you know these accounts be making that kind of money every month? I mean, it's really, that part all by itself was a lot to get over. But I mean, a lot of it I think was really you, because when I saw you doing your videos and stuff, I mean, you always seemed very legit and sincere, and and then I've watched the videos with I guess they're the investors that actually do they're like a bunch of young guys. You don't know how they know what they know, but I don't know. I mean, I guess after watching that enough, and I just, it made me feel like more like, this really is real. And I kept convincing myself that if it was a scam, how could they be getting so much publicity and doing all this stuff on Facebook without somebody shutting them down? That's another thing I kept thinking too.
Yeah.
And then, like, when you do research on the internet about y'all, there's not a lot out there. I mean, it's pretty limited on what you can find just on the internet. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's not a ton of stuff that anyone can find out there. I don't know. I guess the more I watched you and listened to you, the more that made, somehow that was a little more comforting to me.
Yeah. And that's something for us that when you get an opportunity to engage with us, have a call with a representative, and then you go away for a moment and have a chance to think and really decide if this could be a good fit. I just looked last night on our YouTube channel, we have 239 videos, like, and more than half of them are testimonials, and the other half are, kind of, different things that we've done as far as podcasts or, things like that. But yeah, we there is a lot that's out there.
I did see testimonials. That was another thing that helped me. Yeah, I definitely saw those. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you decided to get started, but when you did your onboarding process after you were able to get Wells to send in the capital, how was the process to get your account up and running? And then also, how about like ongoing communication with our team?
And I didn't reach out to y'all to help for help, which I should have. And that's what Julio, I think is the one that I spoke with last, and he said, that's why we're here. We're here to help. If you have questions or you don't understand something, just reach out to us. We're here to help you. So, um, that was my mistake to not do that right away. But now I do know that I would reach out if I had any questions or concerns.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, just so you know, right? This is our like ethos and philosophy is you can have a good product and terrible customer service, and that just kind of erodes a little bit of the experience. You could
Right.
have a great product, or sorry, you can have great customer service and a terrible product, and that is really bad for the customer experience. So basically, it almost doesn't matter, but yeah, you have someone nice to talk to, that's great, but the product still is terrible. But if you have a great service and you had a great product, then that's when you really are great customer service and a great product. Then that's when you really are at the peak of business. And I'm sure you understand that with being an architect and being in business for so long. The clients that you work with, they have to have as smooth of a process as you can make it. And then afterwards, if there's any additional questions, they still need to have someone that they can reach out to. So I think, any good business owner understands that principle. I just, for me, that was a big piece that I wanted to, if there was going to be a gap or, kind of a lack in some of that customer service from any of the other providers that we have, we wanted to be able to fill that. So that's just an example of just making sure that, hey, instead of you having to either wait on hold or you having to send an email and wait for them to get back to you, we can reach out on your behalf, get those types of answers if it's specifically to do with a broker or if it's specifically to do with like a trader in the strategy. We can get those answers for you, and sometimes often we have already asked those questions, and so just immediately we don't even have to necessarily go to them. We can just respond to you accordingly based off of us already knowing that circumstance. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've been able to understand where the communication is going to be the best for you. And I mean, in that way, just based off of what you've experienced with us specifically on our end, of course, we have vendors that may take a little bit more time, or you have banks that have their own processes that, sometimes, work very smoothly, sometimes have some hiccups to them. But as far as ATN is concerned, what do you feel like is something that maybe makes us a little bit different than some of the other things that you've maybe seen out there or potentially experienced in the past?
I like the way that within the last couple of weeks, two different people have reached out that want to know, ask some of the same questions you're asking now. They wanted to know what my experience is, what things might have been negative or what things have been working good. And I think it was Elizabeth. I met with her, and then I met with Julio. And both of them had some of the same kind of questions, but I felt good about that because it was like somebody cared and wanted to know my opinion, and so that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the attention to our clients, you're not just a number. We're making sure that if you feel stuck in a certain spot, or if you feel like there's still some things that you want to know about how everything works, we want to be able to bridge those gaps for you, because a confused client is not a very, it is not having a great experience, right? If you're
Yeah.
in a state of confusion, or if you feel like you've got questions that are unanswered, or you don't know where to go for those questions, that's something that we really not only take seriously, but we prioritize. And so that's why these touch points. So I'm glad that you've been able to have those conversations. And it sounds like, because Julio mentioned that you had a couple of things that he was able to maybe clarify, and you have.
Yeah, I had some specific questions about the just reading the stuff on my account and what's some different things in that. And so he explained all that to me and went over that with me, and so that helped clear up questions I had.
And the plan is, of course, to once accurate information is able to be sent, then that can resume. We just don't want to be sending something that doesn't actually reflect in your account. So that's why. So it's just a bit of a kind of a technical thing that we're just making sure that we can get that done accurately. So that's the biggest thing. And when it came to your account, right? So you funded it, you funded it with kind of a testing amount, and you wanted to make sure that you were able to see the types of returns that were talked about on the front end. For you, Kevin, how quickly, once you got your account funded, how quickly did you start to see, passive income being generated?
Well, like the first week, there was definitely money being generated, and um, I think my first month, everything I've invested in three different things, and I think my income was like 6% that first month, which is kind of where y'all had talked about, sort of. So I felt good about that. And I'm just kind of starting. My first month is just August 7th, that I've been invested. So I'm just getting into a second month now.
Yeah. Nice. And so, I mean, and that's what we like to know as far as, when you get your account started and to see how things are progressing once trading begins. How do you feel about, I mean, I know that it's the first full month that you had, you're in your second month, but how do you feel about a 6% type of return? Have you been able to see that in any other space, or have you experienced that, before?
No. And, it's not a whole lot when you got $1,000 is all you had in there.
Hey, that's like what, like $60 or something like that?
Yeah. But, then you think, wow, if I had $50,000 or $100,000 in there, that would be something. So that's basically what I've been thinking is, oh, it's $60, big deal. But no, I mean, it is a big deal because I can see if you had a larger sum of money, obviously you'd be, 6% is a good return in a month.
I mean, most places, as far as traditional investments, that's the annual returns. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
so where would you maybe rank? I mean, you're in early days, and we understand that, but as far as the things that you have tried in the past, with you can include real estate or stocks. I know you were in stocks for a while, and maybe some of the more traditional investments, but where would you perhaps rank ATN compared to some of those other ventures?
Well, right now, I mean, um, there's nothing else I've ever been involved in like this. I mean, and I know that I once I build up this account, if everything keeps going like it is, I mean, it'll surpass every option I've ever had to be able to make passive income like this. So I know it's going to outperform my real estate and everything if I just get a decent sum of money in there to, be making money off of every month.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sorry, did you have something else?
No.
Okay. Just curious on my end, Kevin, when you got your account funded and you started to see kind of movement, how passive has it been for you after the onboarding phase? Like how much work have you had to do in order to see your account make 6+%?
I haven't had to do anything. Haven't had to do anything. Just log in and check on how it's going. And I don't understand the investment part of it, and I'm not as interested in that. Maybe some people are, but I mean, it's way over my head. And if I knew it, then I probably wouldn't need y'all. So it's like that part I'm not even trying to figure out or don't even pay attention to. As long as I'm making money every month, that's all I'm looking at. But do people really want to know the whole what are you investing in and where how does this work and all of that?
Yeah, some definitely do, and we say it, right. We and in our videos that what we talk about is what we do, right. So I mean, just I know you don't necessarily want to know, but just keeping it very high level, it's foreign exchange. I think you're in platinum, so you're just in the foreign exchange part of things, and you look at different currencies, whether it's the United States dollar and the euro, and basically you're saying, do you believe the United States dollar is going to go up? Do you believe the euro is going to go up? If you believe whichever one of those thoughts, you place a trade either in a bullish position or a bearish position. That just high level, right? You either think it's going to go up or think it's going to go down, and so you basically bet or place your trade accordingly, and that's how it works. But it's high frequency trading, meaning that thought process or that decision making that I just explained happens anywhere from 10 to like 100 times per day. And so that's why there's so many like small movements that happen that
Yeah.
create a decent amount of profit at the end of the month or at the end of the year. So that's high level what it is. And those little like the high frequency trading, the reason why it's possible is because of the algorithms. The algorithms are doing, all of the analysis, the technical and fund, like basically reading the chart, looking at the patterns and making determinations, and then the algorithm is really the one that's driving mostly. But then in moments where you're not able to get the best analysis or not able to kind of get in and out, then you have a manual trader who's professional, who has 7+ years of experience in the space, to be able to help to navigate. So we always use like a plane analogy, right? So instead of giving you access to go fly a plane yourself, we, just like an airline would do, we get you into first class or whatever the experience would be, and then you have a professional behind behind the wheel, right? You have a professional pilot that comes on and makes sure that you go through things as smoothly as possible. Not there is turbulence, right? There is forces of nature that happen. That's the market, right? So there is
Yeah.
going to be, kind of some bumps along the way, but the professional pilot is in a position to, well, the plane, first of all, which is the algorithm, the plane, first of all, is designed for there to be a little bit of turbulence, but then as well, you do need the person that is operating it, right? The trader, to be able
Mhm.
to understand some of those, the way that it feels to
Yeah.
experience turbulence. And then for us, we're the people that come on the intercom. Okay, you're experiencing a little bit of turbulence right now. It's going to be okay. Just fasten your seatbelts. We'll get through this. It's all right. That's ATN, right? The pilot is the trader. You are the passenger, and we just kind of make the plane fly as seamless as possible. Yeah. And I mean, on your end, Kevin, my last question is, well, I have two more actually. Well, this question is, considering where you're at right now, you're about 6, 7 weeks into the program. Things are going relatively well. Especially after we've gotten to the point where you're actually able to fund your account and see kind of some of the accounts and how that works. Whether it takes another few months, whether it takes a year plus, or whenever it would be to where you're like, oh man, my account has done this and this has been great. How likely would you be to actually recommend us?
Oh, I definitely would recommend you.
Yeah.
Um, it's, I guess, I think for a lot of people, the money up front to get involved is a lot. I mean, that was a hard swallow for me to, there's just a lot of money. And then that money you don't have available to invest because, you've put that out there to become part of the group. So, it's going to take a bit of time to get that money back out of the investments. I think that's kind of for a lot of people, that would kind of be an issue. But, I mean, for me, I'm hoping this is going to work for several years, not just, I'm not in here for 6 months or 12 months or something. So I can see the long term huge potential. And I think that's what the people have to look at. They can't look at just what's going to happen in 6 months or 12 months. They've got to look at beyond that to know what the potential is.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And so just on that point, most businesses, like, so some people will look for another stream of business or another stream of income and want to potentially start a business if they have the bandwidth, if they have the skill set, or what have you. Typically, to be profitable in one of those other businesses, you're looking at 2 or 3 years. That's kind of the typical time frame.
If
For
you make, if you make it.
if you make it, right, it depends on the industry. It could be a 50% fail rate. If you're in the restaurant industry, it's like a 90% fail rate,
Yeah.
right? If you're in the trading space, it's a 90% fail rate. And so those things not only take time to develop, but they also, have, you got sweat equity, you got to actually be involved in it. So there's that barrier. For us, the way that we design kind of the fees up front and those things, like, we of course, we have expenses on our own, right? You have multiple algorithms; those each come with separate license fees that we've got to facilitate, and all of those things. So the idea for us is to be able to have a return on investment for clients between 9 and 12 months. And of course, the more that you're able to have in your trading account, theoretically, or in historical terms, the faster you've been able to recover your initial investment.
Yeah.
And so I know that you're working towards, getting more capital in, and you can see kind of how those returns will increase based off of the more trading capital that you have. But that's the goal that we have: 9 to 12 months to be able to get your return on investment with a decent amount that's being funded. And then from that point, it's what you would call, it was what you would call infinite returns, in our eyes. So last question now. Considering someone maybe listening to this right now and they're like, I am resonating with someone like Kevin. I, have also been in real estate, and I've also, kind of seen the stock market not work so well, and, other kind of considerations that you have, and also been skeptical, right? I've been burned in Facebook or what have you, maybe not with finances, but I've seen things not work out how I expected. Perhaps there's someone that's listening that has the financial capacity, but it's just nervous or skeptical, and they don't know who to maybe ask other than us. What would you maybe say to them about kind of the process, or what maybe would you say on that behalf?
Um, well, I could certainly relate to all of that because I felt the same thing. As I said earlier, I was very skeptical. I had numerous things that set me back or raised the red flag that was, oh my gosh, this is a scam. This is a scam. And, I just kept trusting that I was making the right decision, and I'm glad I did. And now it's proven itself. And like I said, I'm really pumped up about getting some more funds in there, and watching it grow. And so far, it hasn't been all that exciting from that standpoint, but I know that that's on me. I need to build up that account. So yeah, I mean, I would just say that got to just go through the process, and it's going to prove itself.
Yeah. Well, again, it's for those that actually it's not what do you call it? It's vacation money. It's not grocery money, right? For people that are going into it, we're not looking for those that, are desperate or need to be able to pull capital tomorrow, pull their principal tomorrow or things like that. But, for people that are actually financially qualified, which our representatives do a decent job in assessing what that was like. And so on our end, Kevin, I'm really happy we had the opportunity to get the feedback. Glad we're past some of the earlier hurdles that you experienced. And, again, just so you know, we're definitely always going to be in your corner here for you when you do run into those hurdles or have those questions. And yeah, for now, those are the questions that I had for you. Did you have any direct or specific questions for me?
No, I didn't realize I was going to have access to you, and that's pretty exciting. I'm glad that I got to meet you. Julio said, have you had a meeting with Aaron yet? And I said, a meeting with Aaron? Do I get to have a meeting with him? And so I was excited about this. But I don't know that I really have any other questions at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad we got the chance to speak as well. Again, we try to get in contact with each of the clients that we do have. That's why we keep it a tight community. So I have the opportunity to speak to you directly. So that being said, we'll do this again maybe in the next couple 2-3 months, and again just have checkpoints and make sure that things are still going smoothly. If that's all right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, excellent. Well, I appreciate your time, Kevin. I'm happy that you're a part of the community, and I'm looking forward to the next opportunity for us to connect.
Okay, sounds good. You have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Talk soon. So every 30 days, I talk one-on-one with my clients, and that was their experience. If you want to learn more on how we help our clients earn 60% or more per year, then click the link in the description below.